Welcome to the India FinTech Diaries, the only podcast focused exclusively on the Indian fintech market. I'm Elroy.
And I'm Hemant. In each episode, we dive into the latest trends, ideas, innovations, business models, and personalities that are shaping India's fintech landscape.
We also invite amazing guests who are innovators and industry players that are driving the change that is helping make financial services more modern, innovative, and inclusive in India. Come join us as we explore the changing landscape of fintech in India. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the India FinTech Diaries. Our last episode took a look into the exciting world of neobanks, and today we thought we'd navigate the world of retail neobanks. If you haven't heard a previous podcast yet, I highly recommend giving it a listen. I'm your host Elroy, and along with my co-host Hemant, we have a very special guest with us today for you. I'm super excited to have Vinay Bagri, who is the co-founder and CEO of Neo, as a special guest today. Welcome to India FinTech Diaries, Vinay.
Thanks a lot, Elroy and Hemant, for having me.
Vinay, I actually have a confession to make. I've been one of the biggest fans of your products. It started right with my association with the Global Card product, and that entire product was actually fabulous. I had never used that easy to use travel card products so far. And using it, I've often wondered what's been your overall philosophy behind it. And I'm sure your background as a banker must have definitely played a huge role in how your products were actually set up. So maybe you could give our listeners a view of your background and also give us a view of the philosophy that actually went behind and starting Neo.
Thanks, Elroy, so much for using our product. It is always very satisfying to hear a customer talk about the product. Nothing can be better for for somebody who has thought of that product more than a direct customer testimony. So thanks a lot for using it, and glad you were able to find value in it. Now, in terms of how the product came about, and what we at Neo think when we are building product, we just go a little, as you said, little into my background. I was working with banks most of my professional life. Started with a brief stint with ICICI, then largely almost a decade with Stanchart on both sides of balance sheet. I was giving loans, in a vertical which was giving loans till 2008, 2009. Then I thought maybe it's a better idea to take deposits rather than give loan after the financial
Yeah.
crisis.
Yep.
So 2009 onwards, I switched to other side of balance sheet, which is liabilities, where I was heading salary account business for some time, or any kind of savings account, current accounts were getting opened. I did that for multiple years at Stanchart. Then I moved on to ING Vyasya, doing salary account business there, and then finally it was taken over by Kotak. And then I was always thinking that in terms of value addition, which can be done for certain segments in banking, because a typical bank is a very large behemoth with multiple verticals. So sometimes there's certain segments which you're not able to serve that well, or there are certain segments which, because overall cost is loaded across segments, it doesn't make commercial sense for a bank to do those segments. So I thought that maybe I can take a shot at it, try and get outside the banking system, uh,
Yeah.
try and develop deep tech. And the regulations are such that eventually I will have to work with partner bank, but then uh, we can really build great customer experiences on top of the strong regulatory
Mm.
framework, or the top class backend which banks have created.
Yeah.
So with that thought process, Elroy, we started Neo. And as we started, just a few months into the business, demonetization happened, and that's where our first big product came into the market, which was a salary account for blue collared employees. So this particular segment is very, I would say, from a financial perspective, unless your cost is dramatically low, it is very difficult to make money in a blue collared salaried space. And
Correct.
for a typical bank, it is very difficult to kind of profitably serve this customer.
Yeah, that's also because some of the acquisition costs are pretty high for them, and the servicing cost also gets very high at that ticket size, right?
Yeah, the acquisition cost is high, service cost is high, and then in typical banks there is a lot of allocated cost which comes, which is
Yeah.
nothing to do really with the product.
Right.
And unless you're
Yeah, that's to do with the fancy offices and other stuff that they have.
yeah, of course, you'll have offices in Marine Drive and all that. So naturally, everything is going to somebody's going to pay for it, right? So,
Right.
we try to create a completely digital low cost infrastructure, and
Okay.
partnered with banks like Yes Bank, DCB, to roll
Hmm.
out products for these set of customers, where because our cost was, I would say, fractional, a very small fraction what a typical bank's cost would be, both on tech, and most of the things were solved through product and tech development. And we were able to finally roll out a product which was reasonably priced, where we did not lose money, and customers saw a lot of value. Naturally, that product became a big success, and we have around 1.5 million users who are today on that product, and we are the largest player in the market today. But that product is very much under the radar, because people like us don't see that product. It is more for
Yeah.
Right.
manufacturing segment, and really, I would say, financial inclusion, that kind of segment, on that product. But then 2018 is when we launched the global travel card, and which is what you enjoyed. And the thought behind that, Elroy, was that uh, if you look at a travel segment, it was the segment before pandemic came, which was growing the fastest among any retail segment in the country. Everybody, with this advent
Correct.
of Instagram and Facebook, you
Right.
really want to go different places in the world and want to post your photos from there. The outward travel, especially leisure travel, was just dramatically increasing in India. And it was projected that at the time when we started, around 20 million Indians were leaving the shores every year, and it was projected to go to 50 million by 2022. So a very, very lucrative, large segment. And in that, the typical multi-currency card, the forex card, was a very, very painful, costly product, both painful and costly. So very rarely you get a situation where you can solve for two things together. And that was the genesis behind Neo Global Card. We were thinking on two lines. That one, let us create a product which is absolutely seamless, very easy to use. At the same time, the core business philosophy for us has been that we will only do products where customers can see real value. It is not that I will give you some coupon, or
Hmm.
some scratch card which will lead to nothing. But every time you bank with us, we will try and give you some real genuine value, uh, other than the pure beautiful experience. And Global Card was, I would say, a perfect storm, which combined both beautiful look and feel of the mobile app, and a real value in terms of zero forex markup. And naturally, it was an instant hit. We have around 200,000 users now who have taken Global Card at one point or other.
Yeah, I think Vinay, that product is amazing. And let me tell you, Elroy is lying when he says he was just the adopter. He was a massive influencer as well. I think you owe some referral fee definitely to him, because when we were working together, he used to walk around the office, and wherever someone is traveling, he was like, "Have you used this card? I'm using this card. This is amazing." And I must tell you that I started because Elroy referred it to me. But of course, he got some 100 rupee cash or something for it. But I've really enjoyed the card, and I've been using it very, very frequently. In fact, I have surrendered all my forex cards now. But now you've also launched a very interesting product with IDFC First Bank now, Vinay, and
Yeah,
also it has a very catchy marketing campaign on 007. So tell us
yeah.
more about this product and the fascination with this secret agent for your marketing campaign.
Yeah, so yeah, all of us, at least me, have been all, I'm sure, huge fans of 007,
Yeah, of
right
course.
from shaking our vodka martini to
True.
to thinking of the
That's right.
lifestyle. So yeah, the thing, Hemant, was that we realized that customers really loved Global Card, and almost entirely our business was based on referrals, thanks to folks like Elroy. But what we realized is that people, they loved our product so much that they would keep tons of money uh, on the card. And
Hmm.
because the card
Right.
was on the back of a current account kind of a setup, we were not able to give any interest to the customer for the money which was kept with us.
Got it. Yeah.
So in a way, we realized that the customer may be losing out. And then second, we thought that if we can give a customer a full-fledged savings account, along with the benefits which were there in the travel card in terms of the beautiful app, your ATM locator, currency counter, and all these features. We thought that it will be more value additive to the customer, and maybe we can completely disrupt the savings account market. So that was the idea behind launching the product. So initially the product, Hemant, was 07, which is zero
Okay.
forex markup. And for all the
Mhm.
money which is parked there, which is unutilized, we give you 7% interest. IDFC, of course, offers the best possible interest rate on a savings account in country, and that's why we partnered with them. And then when one day, me and my chief marketing officer Vineet, we were just discussing that 007 is fascinating. Is there a way we can add another zero to it? And then it will become 007, which is really something I am quite fascinated about, and I'm sure people would love it. Is what our thought was. And then we started hunting about what will be the best zero to add value to the customer. And after a lot of research, we realized that a zero commission mutual fund is another thing which is really value additive, because even today majority of mutual funds are still in regular funds, are lying in the
Right.
regular schemes, which means that you're effectively paying around 1.5-2% for no reason to your broker.
Correct.
Correct.
And I really don't know why people do that. Similar to the stuff that people keep money in banks which give you 3.5% savings interest. Again, there is very little logic why you would do that when you've got banks with higher interest. So we combined this together. So we bought a wealth management company just to make the 007 happen. Fortunately for us, Allwise
Yeah.
was looking for an M&A, and we loved the founders.
Hmm.
Very very smart people, very committed people, very customer centric, just like us. And we proposed, they accepted, so it was a great marriage that came about, and that's how the 007 came in.
Yeah, kudos to your marketing team, Vinay. I think it's a pretty good campaign. It is catchy and definitely very intriguing.
I was saying that we didn't expect the kind of response. We It started with a wait list, and then suddenly we had 100,000 people on the wait list, and there was no way on earth
Whoa.
we could service them with our infrastructure. So unfortunately, we had to say to no to 95,000 people, and we onboarded only 5,000, because if the experience goes
Okay.
bad, that's
Hmm.
the last thing you want in a bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I think I was waitlisted for about a month before I finally got that product.
Yeah, we never expected that kind of response, so it was overwhelming. But yeah, it was slightly sad that we couldn't service everybody.
Yeah. And the 7% interest is actually pretty market leading. In fact, I don't think even fixed deposits today get you that kind of interest, and you just don't have the hassle of locking in the money. But I'm curious about one thing though. Normally, what happens in these kind of products is customers just tend to park their money there and then they never transact. So, do you find your customers following this behavior, and how do you actually solve for this?
Yeah, that's another great question, and that's the one of the reasons to do a 007 instead of pure zero forex markup, because what we realized, that significant amount of money, and when I say significant, it is really really large amount of money was lying on our travel product, where customers, because they just love the product, and they thought whenever they'll travel they will use it again. And you won't believe it that in pandemic actually the balances have gone up, and we're completely shocked. I mean, why would people do that? But that's the behavior. But you are right, what
Right.
what it was happening was, it was looked as a international travel product, and which is why, even though there was significant money lying on the account, even though the card worked equally well in India, people were kind of not using it. And then when we did more research, we realized that Indian spend pattern has changed completely. People no longer when you are using the money domestically, you no longer want to swipe your card. You want to do UPI based payments. You want to do
Right.
Google Pay,
Yep,
you want to do Phone
that's right.
Pay.
Yeah.
And that is like a humongous chunk of transactions actually are UPI based, and our global card product did not have that facility.
Hmm.
And that's why when we came in with the 007 full savings account, we brought in UPI also, and along with it we brought a lot of spend related innovations, to ensure that if people spend money in India, we should give them something different. So for example, there is a spend analyzer which kind of tells you where you're spending. You can set your budgets. Then another market leading thing we introduced is that something called as auto invest, that when you're spending some money, if you agree to it, we will round it off to the nearest 100, take that amount, and then invest in a mutual fund of your choice.
That's a
So
nifty feature for a millennial who normally
Yeah.
don't tend to
absolutely.
save.
Yeah, so you're automatically saving, and it is almost like you don't feel so bad spending,
Correct.
because you know that a little bit of it will get saved as in the
Yeah.
process. So yeah, so we did some of these innovations, and the results have been phenomenal. The 5,000 users who we onboarded, their activity rate on the card is much better than a normal debit card. The average balance on the account is at least 2x of the industry average on the cards. And of course, the number of times they interact with the app is at least 3 to 4x of what they will do with a normal banking app. So yeah, it has been a
Hmm.
phenomenal success. All the metrics which we had in mind when we were launching the product have actually been met.
Hmm. So when I think today no discussion or no podcast is complete without a discussion on COVID, and you have not only survived COVID, but you have gone ahead and launched a product during that time. And I'm very sure that it must not have been very easy. So why did you walk us through? How did you decide to launch a product? What led to that decision during these times, actually?
Yeah, COVID, Elroy Hemant is a really difficult time for everybody, and we were no different. The two core products we had, one was travel, and naturally nobody's traveling. So that
Right.
big business from growing at 400%, 500% a year, practically came to a standstill. And then we had a salary payroll business which was dependent on migrants, and all of us are
Hmm.
aware what happened to migrants in lockdown.
Correct. Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah, it was a very very
Correct.
sad situation. But we were very very pleasantly surprised with the resilience of Indian blue collared salaried employees and the SMEs. So as we speak today, we are doing our highest ever business.
Wow.
Um, so we are really, really very, very happy with the kind of rebound which has happened on that segment. On the travel segment, of course, there is no rebound, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And that's when we decided that looks like the problem is going to be here for at least 2 years, if not more. So it will be prudent for us to look at use the expertise which we built on the travel card to convert it to a full-fledged co-branded savings account. And
Hmm.
it was a difficult journey. We were the first, we are still the one and the only fintech to do a co-branded savings account with a bank. So thanks a lot to IDFC, very very forward looking partner bank. But yeah, both teams, IDFC and Neo, worked practically 18 to 20 hours a day for 3 to 6 months to make it happen. It was not easy, but in a way, COVID helped that nobody had anything else to do, no holidays to take, no one nowhere to travel.
That's a very positive spin to it, Vinay. I like it.
Yeah, so the only thing you could do was basically work. So yeah, productivity has been phenomenal. Big big shout out to our tech and product team. But yeah, they really made this difficult time actually very very productive.
And that's actually pretty interesting, Vinay. And while COVID had give you a lot of challenges in actually rolling it out, even otherwise, it's pretty difficult to run a neo banking business in India. And you've actually done phenomenally well, like you just mentioned, right? Reaching 1.5 million customers on the Neo Bharat platform. So why don't you walk us some of the scaling challenges or the operational challenges that you might have had while actually building a platform to this scale?
Yeah, Elroy. So it is, one is, see, this whole neo banking thing is slightly a misnomer in a way that the real neobank is, if you really have a banking license. And in India, there is no class of license which can be truly categorized as a neobank, unlike, let's say, Europe and Singapore,
That's
Hong
correct.
Kong, Australia,
Right.
you were mentioning. So the only choice for India, for fintechs who want to do, kind of a consumer facing banking product, is to partner with some like-minded banks, and that is the most difficult thing to execute, because banks have to trust you, and rightly so. I've been a banker, I've been on the other side of the table. The risk of partnering with somebody unknown and opening up some of your systems to them, as a banker, I would also be very wary about it. Other than that, once you are able to develop a mutual trust, and develop a relationship which is a win-win relationship for all the three important stakeholders in this business, which is partner bank, uh, us, and the customer. All three, if they win, and you're able to think of a product like that from that mindset, then you can actually have a long standing relation with the partner bank. And from then on, it is not so easy to market it, because there is it's a very very massive market in India. You've got 300 million at least customers who would benefit from better banking products. So market is not a challenge. Finding a niche is not a challenge. The biggest challenge is successfully partnering and maintaining that partnership for a long time. So with Yes Bank, for example, our partnership is almost 5 years now. With DCB, it is 4 years, and it is running strong because of mutual trust, which both of us have with each other.
So when I picking up the on the point of regulation, I would like to double click on that. Following on that, what do you think are the steps or things which our regulator can bring in, so to make life a little more easier for the neobanks or digital only banks as we progress? As you rightly pointed out, Singapore, Philippines, Australia, UK, things have been slightly more easier in those countries. So what are the top three things that you think could be done to make the journey slightly easier for the neobanks?
Yeah, so Hemant, if you look at three things, the first thing, but and the most difficult one, of course, is a
Mhm.
license itself, a category of license.
Right.
Now, as you would realize that our central bank already this decade has given two category of licenses: small bank and payment bank.
Correct.
Small bank licenses have worked beautifully.
Hmm.
It is good for everybody who's involved, including the customers of the small banks. Payment bank license was, I would say, not so successful experiment. But anyway, the intentions were very good. So once these two category have been introduced, I'm sure they will need some time before they can come up with a third category. But that will be the ideal thing, that if we come
Right.
up with one more category of licenses, which is similar to what's happening across the world. So that's, if you were to say what our ask would be, that is a top ask.
Hmm.
The second thing is that, in terms of this whole fintech and banking partnerships, there are certain things which are, uh, which are regulatorily clearly written. There are certain things which are not so clear. So if guidelines can become more clear around such partnerships, especially on the savings account, current account side, then that will be also very helpful. That it will give kind of a space for few years for players like us to operate, without any worry.
Yeah, because that point has been highlighted at multiple neobanks that I've spoken to. Because as you rightly said, the DigiBank license might take time, but even if it can be clarified how that partnership could work, that would be a massive, massive help to simplify things at least till the digital banking specific license comes up.
Yeah, yeah. And the third one, of course, is if you look at Europe, the open banking framework, where
Right.
banks are kind of obligated to share information if a customer wishes. So that's another thing which is in a way coming with account aggregator. If that can be fast
Correct.
tracked,
Yeah.
make life faster, then that will be also a large step towards allowing fintechs like us to serve customers better.
True, true. I think NBFC account aggregator is a massive and a very good step in that direction, where we start democratizing data, but also democratizing lending as the next layer of it. But when also shifting to a slightly lighter note, we have
Huh.
spoken about COVID in the situation of business and all. But on a personal level, is there a new skill that you have picked up during that time, or have you started reading more? For example, in my case, I started cooking, but after I leave my kitchen, it looks like more a crime scene than a kitchen. So anything that you have picked up during these times?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've surely picked up is to live without travel. So I'm like a complete travel buff, and
Ah.
yeah, to live without travel itself is a new experience, I would say.
Which is your favorite country, Vinay, to travel to?
Actually, it is Europe, and in Europe, typically the way I travel is just land anywhere and then catch a train
Ah,
with a 21 days, 30 days Eurorail pass, and then
yeah.
take wherever the day takes you, kind of thing. So.
Oh, that sounds very adventurous and interesting.
Yeah, so that's been one thing, but I think I've not got a chance to read too much because I've been like extremely tied up because multiple launches. We've been
Correct.
really, really busy actually. We've worked, I think, definitely, I can speak for me, my co founder, and our tech and product team and marketing team. I think we've definitely worked more than what we were working pre COVID now in the
Hmm.
last 6 months. But yeah, in terms of skills which I've picked up, I would say yeah, cooking, but very similar to you, Hemant. It doesn't. I won't like to eat what I cook. So
So take a look at the future now, right? Today everyone pretty much wants to spend, save, invest, have fun outside, but pretty much no one wants to actually visit the bank branch. In fact, very recently, I had this old Forex card that was lying around. I finally decided to encash it. And then when I tried to reach out to the bank, they said the only way you can do that is by walking in. And I'm just flabbergasted that as to how in today's day and age, you don't have a digital means to do that.
yeah.
And this entire problem is pretty much well summarized by Brett King, one of the prominent thinkers in fintech. He basically says that in the future, banking will be everywhere and never at a bank. So, how do you think that the Indian banking landscape is going to shift, say, in the coming next 2 or 3 years? Will it go more towards this direction, or do we see a shift in some other way?
I think it already started a few years back when I was, doing banking with Stanchart and ING and Kotak. Uh, we would see, especially salaried customers, very, very, very rarely would they walk into a branch because everything is available. And unless you really want to operate a locker, I really can't imagine why would anybody walk into a branch. And COVID has just accelerated the process by, I would say, half a decade or decade, because not only the early adopters of non-branch life, now basically nobody wants to get into a branch. See, and anyway, nobody ever wanted to really go to the branch, but it was just some
True.
habit, because of which people were going. But with COVID, the fear coming in, you don't want to go to a branch, you don't want to see your RM, you want to do everything yourself. And, unlike cooking, if you do banking yourself, you will 99% time save money, save time, and emerge a much more smarter person financially. So so life has changed completely, things have got really accelerated. Banking is not going to be the same again. If tomorrow COVID were to like magically disappear, even
Hmm.
then the number of people who are visiting the branches, my guess is at best will be 20% of what it used to be in the peak pre-COVID era.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, Elroy and Vinay, someone asked me what is the most horrifying memory of childhood that I have, and I told them that it is visiting a bank branch. I was really terrified and horrified of stepping into a bank branch because there was a pen tied to a table. There was multiple slips placed there. I just didn't know what to do and which window to go to. Yeah, but I don't think no one. You're right, Vinay. No one really wants to visit a branch ever, right?
Hemant, which have changed so dramatically that you can't even imagine. So when I opened my first trading account to do some kind of trading in a stock, I remember I had to sign at least 100 plus times.
Whoa.
And I opened my second stock trading account a few weeks back on my own platform, and it was just 4 clicks. You forget about signatures, just four
Hmm.
clicks. So, the from a financial products, not only savings account, but your trading account, your mutual fund account, your life insurance, everything has changed so dramatically that it was
Right.
unimaginable, pre-COVID, and definitely a few years ago, nobody could have believed that way. And which is why, if you look at the number of digital accounts opened now compared to where we were 6 months ago, across the spectrum of BFSI, whether it is stocks, whether it is banking accounts, whether it is insurance accounts, whether it is loan account or anything. it is just dramatically changed, and it is not never going to go back to the same thing again.
True, true. These are going to be very interesting times ahead, Vinay. But also to look at from your point of view. So, can you give us a peek into the future strategy for Neo? What are you most excited about nowadays? Because you have just anyways launched a product and it is scaling at a really really fast pace. So, what's in view for the future for Neo?
So Hemant, we are very very aggressively hiring in tech and product.
Okay.
We think that with the habit of a customer changing and changing for good, um, there is going to be like a almost like a perfect storm for anything digital in banking, and we would really want to be in the forefront of innovations across products. So what we're trying to do, Hemant, is just build products which are beautiful and build products which add value,
Right.
whether it is
Absolutely.
a mutual fund on our platform with like auto invest and these nifty features, or making domestic stocks available on our platform for our users, or making international stocks available on our platform for our users, or thinking of any such thing which is related to money management, and making it
Hmm.
really simple, easy, value additive. So I think next 2 3 years we are just going to be completely focused on product development. Let me put it this way.
That makes sense because the way it is coming up in my mind, the way you explained it seems like you are going to ensure the financial well-being of your customer. So every financial product which is required to maintain and improve the well-being of your customer, financial well-being of your customer, that seems to be a one-liner strategy, if I may so say so, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Hemant. Financial well-being of a customer, to give him a transparent BFSI experience, and also a really thought through UI. So when
Yeah.
if he should not go to my app and completely get confused about what it's all about. So it should be really, really simple, not non-intimidating, simple way to do banking.
Yeah, because if you look at any bank app, no, it's literally like they've taken every option they have and tried to squeeze it somewhere in the menu.
No, basically what they've done is they've taken the website. A lot of banks, some of them are good, but most of them have taken the website and taken all the options and put it into an app. So it was not done for an app. It was a website converted to an app.
That's really very well put, Hemant. Really very well put. I mean, that's how. If you look at the colors, also they're so jarring. You open a typical bank app and it just scares you.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. So to that point, Vinay, with every fintech or whoever is in fintech, there are companies that we look up to or get inspired from. For example, for me, it is Stripe. Which are one or two companies that you are really excited about and track them in a way?
Yeah. So if you look at outside India, there are a few companies who've done a phenomenal job. Naturally, we love to look at them. So Robinhood is one. TransferWise is
Hmm.
another. Revolut is another. New Bank from Brazil is phenomenal. So these are 3 4 fintechs across the world who I'm sure everybody would be really really quite inspired by. Closer home in India, if you look at some products which I think are brilliant. One of them would be ET Money. I think they've done a
Hmm.
great job on mutual funds. Recently, one of my friends has launched a fintech of a credit card called One Card.
Ah,
That
yeah.
product is very, 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 very well thought through. Then you have another company in the mutual fund space called Grow. I think their product is
Hmm.
also very, very nice. So yeah, I think these are 2 3 companies I would say who have built products with customers' experience and customers' value in mind.
One last thing, when our listeners, I think have really got an impression on understanding of the how what the new product of Neo is. The question is, how do we get to register for it? How do we get access to that product?
Yeah, so Hemant, right now the product is live. You can download the app and apply. Just to ensure that we service so many limited customers, we have kept an
Yeah,
entry gate of a payment gateway. You to make a 10,000 rupee deposit
got it.
and sign up for a 10,000 average balance account to start with.
That sounds good, Vinay. I think I'm sure our listeners would be more than happy to either pay those 10,000 rupees and get access to your product after listening
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
we
podcast.
promise to give them the value worth it, but also
Yeah.
we are working with some partner banks to maybe launch similar product, but which with the lesser friction on getting onboarded.
Awesome. So thank you, Vinay, for joining us today. I hope it's been as engaging and enjoyable for you as it has been for us and our listeners.
Thanks a lot, Hemant. Thanks a lot, Elroy. Really enjoyed this conversation.
So that's it from us at India FinTech Diaries this week. Do see the show notes for more details on Neo and hope to see you soon on our next episode.